My girlfriend just broke up with me on Valentine's Day via text and immediately received the $100 bouquet afterwards I bought for her. What other ridiculous breakup stories do you guys have? I got a Dear John letter while in the Navy from my wife-to-be. When I got back to the island in the middle of nowhere, Diego Garcia, I just spent 2 weeks with her. It took 3 weeks for the letter to get there, meaning she broke up with me a week before spending 2 weeks with me. Time paradox. I went on a 5-week-long volunteer trip with my boyfriend at the time to Nepal. He dumped me halfway across the world in a Buddhist monastery. Disregard women. Acquire nirvana. This is a little NSW. My ex and I were having problems, dealing with LDR and him being insensitive, etc. In a last-ditch effort to stay close and reignite a spark, I finally caved to his constant requests and let him try anal. It didn't really work. We tried but it hurt, and when he finally stopped trying to get it in all the way, it wasn't a little. He just said, "We should probably just break up." TL. DR. Gore broken up with while my boyfriend still had his wiener in my butt. This is the only story that touched my jaded heart. You may take solace in the fact that though he broke up with you, you in fact dumped him. My first serious girlfriend cheated on me on Valentine's Day. The next serious girlfriend I had dumped me for my best friend on Valentine's Day. I don't like Valentine's Day very much. You got double trumped. Bad luck, man. When I told her I love you for the first time, she responded with "you unlovable" and walked out on me. Whoa, she really sucks. I had a guy stand me up on Valentine's Day. We had been dating for a little over 2 months. I stood around the place where we were supposed to meet for an hour before finally finding a payphone. This was before everybody had cell phones. To call him. I thought something horrible had happened to him. He wasn't sick or injured or anything like that. He just didn't feel like going out and hadn't bothered to call me. My mother-in-law was stood up by my father-in-law once on an even more important date. He proposed somewhat nonchalantly to her and asked her if she'd like to go out looking for a ring that weekend. Then he didn't call her. She found out that Monday that he had simply forgotten about their plans. They're still married, quite contently. My boyfriend broke up with me last night via text message. The text rolled in just as I was putting the finishing touches on the cookies I baked for him. We haven't been dating that long, so it's not a debilitating breakup or anything, but I handed out the cookies to the nice homeless people outside my work building today. That felt better. You are a good person. I hope you find someone who appreciates you. My ex broke up with me over the phone at 4 AM on my birthday while I was on the other side of the country visiting family. She said she had met a guy who helped her realize a lot of things. She swore up and down that he was just a friend. Turns out they were fricking for months while I was gone. They're married now. Oh, and another ex of mine cheated on me with my best friend of the time while the three of us all lived together. Favorite breakup stories. The GF who, when I asked her what kind of future she imagined for herself, said being a single mother. The GF who made plans to drive separately and meet up with me at a week-long music festival, then changed plans without telling me to travel to Europe with her ex, who turned out not to be her ex, but rather her fiancé. The GF who owned 5 identical copies of the bell jar. The GF who broke up with me for sending her flowers on Valentine's Day. The long-distance GF who apologized for breaking up with me 4 months later by flying to my hometown, asking me out to dinner, and proposing while the waiter stood by. Bonus points. They were all the same person. I'm self-employed, work 60-hour weeks, lived with a woman for 9 years, supported and helped raise her 2 children. From mouthy, lazy, unappreciative teenagers, into mouthy, lazy, irresponsible and self-centered adults. Both became dropouts, had drug problems, crashed cars, had a parade of abusive livings, etc. Constant sources of both heartache and aggravation for the two of us. Spent much time and effort giving distraught wife emotional support. Because I made much more than wife did. I paid for her car, got her out of debt from some loan sharks, started her retirement account, balanced her checkbook, got her credit rating straight and around, took her all over the world on vacation, Started a college fund for her illegitimate grandchild. Wasn't trying to buy her love, but wonders what one can for those one loves. And financial remediation was something I could offer her. I'm an only child. My parents, who lived an 18-hour drive away, were having serious medical issues. Mother had breast cancer, received a lumpectomy, wasn't healing well. Father, recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's, had an undetected stroke on the table during knee replacement surgery. Woke up with a spastic right arm and hand. Spent 3 months in a rehab house learning to walk and feed himself. Was finally ready to come home. Went back to get my father settled. Spent a few days to make sure still healing mother was physically able to take care of him. While I was there, mom's latest lab results were returned. Inoperable liver cancer. Life expectancy 4 months. Spent extra 2 days commiserating. Then absolutely had to return home. Arrived back home after a 24-hour drive and much car trouble. Wife was walking out the door on her way to work. When I told her my mother had terminal cancer, she said, "Well, you'll have lots of time to spend with her, because I've decided to leave you." Got in her car and drove to work. It was my 50th birthday. I started packing that afternoon. Have not communicated with her at all in the 9 years since I left. Sounds like she's fricked without you anyway. You're better off. One time I was engaged and shared a savings account with my girl so I could easily transfer money if she needed. Was 20 and dumb. Anyway, the day I broke up with her she drained my account without telling me. I had a check bounce because I expected my OD to pull funds from savings to cover it. The bank didn't tell me about it till a month later, when they announced they had closed my account for bouncing a check. I had so many days to cover it and a crap ton of fees. Want to know the kicker? They put me in check systems for 7 freaking years even though I paid them back every dime in a timely manner. I wasn't able to get a banking account during those years. I lost several job offers because I couldn't do direct depositing. So without being able to get a serious job I had to postpone my student loans for all of those years. You can't pay $600 $800 a month while living on retail pay. So now my student loans have exploded and paying almost $1K a month for them. Now that I think about it, my 20s were a horrible freaking decade of my life. When I turned 30, my best friend's mom gave me a card saying to enjoy my 30s because it is the best time of your life. Old enough to know who you are, wise enough to avoid disasters like this, and young enough to enjoy it. This is about an ex-friend of mine. We went to a Caribbean island together on a short trip from California where she met a bartender there and fell in love. She decided to stay on the island and live there with him while I went back home. She was obsessed with having a baby and lo and behold got pregnant. She had been on the island for about 3 months now, living with the guy, and it was Christmas Eve. She finally decided to tell him that she was pregnant, but before she could he asked her to move out and said he was breaking up with her. She was on an island of less than 2,000 people and had no money and nowhere to go. She left his place and cried all night on a beach by herself. The next morning she woke up just as a random dead body washed up on shore next to her, a man that had drowned. She had to stay on the island for the next few months to make enough money to get back home to California. She did this by opening a little mobile coffee shop. Then once back home she had the baby. The bartender said he wanted to meet the kid so he flew to see her. He was immediately arrested for drugs. The end. TLDR. Girl I know got knocked up on an island, got dumped by the guy on Christmas Eve, found a dead body, had the kid, and the guy got arrested. Forgot to add she was a stripper before she went to the island too. Yep, found out my GF had been cheating on me our entire year relationship the day she got her $130 bouquet of pink roses. Just got back from Iraq too. Awesome. Hooray for us. My first real boyfriend broke up with me on Valentine's Day senior year of high school. I looked like an idiot because he told me we were going to go to the city for dinner, so I was dressed up, which was huge for me. Being a total tomboy, I hid in the band room until my mom could come pick me up from school. Oh, did I mention that he broke up with me for a freshman that he ended up impregnating? He ended up not going to college, on his full ride scholarship, to stay home and take care of the baby. They just got divorced. TLDR. Karma revenge for making me hide in the band room for an hour crying in front of my director on Valentine's Day. Whoa, the image of a dressed up, Excited tomboyish girl getting her heart broken like this is truly saddening. Internet hugs to your young self. Boyfriend changed his Facebook status to single and refused to answer any of my phone calls. He never gave me a reason and I haven't spoken to him since. That was 4 years ago. God damn it. This sort of happened to me as well with my first girlfriend. Only she broke up with me over MSN and just ignored me completely. The worst reason to break up with someone is no reason. Similar to your story, though no bouquet was involved, GF of 3.5 years broke up with me by text 4 days ago. Crap sucks, man. Valentine's Day as well. Came to her house with 2 kissing teddy bears. Spent 4 hours being broken up with while her mom and sister and best friend sat in the other room. All but her mom were laughing. Left in tears. Best V-Day ever. I had been dating this girl for 2 years. Her birthday was coming up and her best female friend was planning a party for her. This is the same friend that had been trying to hook her up with a male friend for the past year, even though she knew we were dating. When I asked my GF what time the party started, I was informed I was not invited. I was told I could stop by to drop off her presents before the party if I wanted to see her that day. I was pretty and suspicious, since I knew the friend's male friend was invited, so I drove to her house, knocked on the door, and when she answered I handed her a bag full of presents and a breakup letter, and said, "You clearly have better things to do than see me on your birthday," and turned around and walked back to my car. I was writing a novel but it disappeared, so I'll keep this long story short. I met my first girlfriend, L, sophomore year of college, fall 2007. L cheated on me winter break. I dumped her. She fell apart and told me she needed me for days. I made some conditions for which I would consider dating her again. I took her back. At the start of our spring semester we weren't communicating well. L was pushing me away. I asked my roommate, B, for advice. He wanted to help but he just didn't know how to. He ended up hanging out with me and her a few times to help relieve some tensions. L started to like B. After countless conversations with them, I told them that their relationship would decrease the quality of my life and that I would find it difficult to be friends with them. They started dating anyway. B lived with me in a suite with 6 other friends, mostly engineers, causing a problem within itself. Since L and I were both majoring in sciences, we had many common required. We were dating the previous semester when we made our schedules, so we took 3 classes together. B was the same major as me, so we were also in similar courses. All 3 of us took Chem 2 together. It made me sick. I couldn't do anything. I was surrounded. I slept in the same suite as B. He was in a few of my classes. I was a lab partner with L. The 2 of them sat next to each other near me in Chem 2. I was forced to watch them fall in love. It was absolute torture. I am a nice guy, so I rarely exploded on them. I also couldn't because it would have just made every following day that much harder. I just focused on my schoolwork and pushed forward. I aced all of my classes including Physics 2, which was taught by a big Russian teacher who was difficult to understand. I was very proud of myself for surviving. Okay, let me set the scene. It's the morning of my 18th birthday, legal age in my province, and I wake up to a text from my boyfriend of 4 years. What does it say? "I've decided you're not what I want. It's over." Best birthday text ever. Oh, but wait, there's more. His sister later called me to wish me well. When I asked WTF was going on, she confessed that he had been cheating on me with a girl we knew. Your guy. I never heard from him again. Keep your chin up, OP. For what it's worth, which I know at the moment is probably not a lot, someone 100 times better will come along when the time is right. One day, you'll be able to look back on today and laugh at what a total plug your ex was. Had to upvote for plug, one of my favorite insults. I got a pretty good one. After dating this girl for 2 years, I got to do my lifelong dream and live in the countryside of Japan teaching English. I tried to have her move out there and live with me, where I could easily support her, but she refused. So, 6 months into the year-long contact, I told Jet, the company I worked for, that I would have to leave after the first year. She was more important to me than the job, and if I wanted to make things work with her I would have to return to the States. After a year of being a good boy, so many hot Japanese girls of doing nothing, I was finally coming home. On my last day of work, moments before going in front of my entire school, 400 people, to do a sayonara speech in both Japanese and English, she breaks up with me over Gmail chat. No reason, no explanation, just it's done. When I got back she refused to answer her phone and I never saw or heard from her again. What a crappy human. My GF of 3.5 years one day starts the we should break up thing. When I asked why she started the long list of terrible cliches. So I come to find out that she was cheating on me for 9 months. So we break up, and about 2 months after filling beer glasses with tears, I started the uphill battle of pulling myself up by my bootstraps. She calls me crying, saying that she needed to speak with me. I felt bad for her. Why? And went. In one sentence she tells me that 1. She had started doing H and was getting sick when she was not on it. 2. The week before she had unprotected sex with a homeless dude who may or may not have HIV and or Hep C. 3. The night before she got raped by another homeless guy. 4. She had racked up a 5k credit card bill that she asked me to pay for. After the mother of all run-on sentences, all my efforts to rebuild and start over were shattered, and I retreated into a hole in my head. Then about a month later than that, I had a Halloween party for my birthday. I dressed as Julius Caesar because we share a birthday. She shows up uninvited dressed as Cleopatra, proceeds to wreck my day and scare my friends. She is now a stripper in Oregon, dating a guy with a chin tattoo. TL. DR. BB crazy. As a stripper in Oregon, I fassapum at the bad name this woman gives us. I don't have a breakup story to share, but I'm about to create one. I think, no matter what day I break up with my girlfriend, it's going to be a crazy one. I found out far too late that I stuck my dong in crazy after I moved in with it, and I'm now involved in a convoluted plan. No, seriously, this makes Operation Anaconda look like a frag order to exfil my butt out of harm's way. That's been 3 months in the making. Multiple combat vet SNCO, and this chick scares the frick out of me, to the point that a large section of my plan is how to covertly remove my firearms without her knowing the real reason, and my backup carry piece that I normally leave on the headboard, that she knows is there. I've removed the firing pin, 2 weeks away from D-Day, and I feel as twitchy as frick. This needs its own post when it goes down. Early the 5th of December years ago, my girlfriend had been spending time with her friend Brandon, a guy she knew very well I did not like at all. He's one of these loud douchebags who acts like he runs the place. Anyway, around this time my dad was having chronic head pains and temporary memory loss. My family was really worried there was something wrong with him, like a brain tumor or something. I told my girlfriend this and she was well aware that I was very stressed and unhappy. So then one night we are at a concert and she gives her phone to my friend Matt and he shows it to me. The picture on the main screen is of Brandon. I look deeper, go into her phone and find 3 pictures of them making out before I stop looking. I get up, walk over to her and put it in her face and scream, "What is this?" She asks why I have her phone. I call her a freaking S and slam her phone on the ground and walk away. Haven't talked to her since. We dated for almost 2 years. I know a douchebag named Brandon owes me $1,000 worth of rent and utilities. I hate that name. I'm also a Matt. I like to think we're alright. Last year, I cooked a nice dinner for my Valentine's date with an ex. We were on that rocky ground where we broke up but still had so much feelings for each other. She came over, we ate, watched Netflix on the bed all while cuddling, kissing, flirting, tickling, groping a bit, but she didn't want to have sex. Fine, whatever. I behaved as much as she was, and she left to go back to her parents. Turns out she was already seeing another guy, for 3 weeks at that point, and it was the guy I talked with her about. I discussed how I felt that she was texting him too much for me to be comfortable with. So while I'm not sure she was cheating at that point, I'm very glad I didn't sleep with her. Since then, I've been good, and today doesn't bother me at all. I'm looking forward to my next relationship but enjoying being single currently. One bad V day isn't going to hold me down. Since then, I've been good. and today doesn't bother me at all. I'm looking forward to my next relationship but enjoying being single currently. One bad day isn't going to hold me down. Man, this is exactly how people should think while single. This is the best frame of mind to be in when meeting a new person. No desperation, no cynicism, just openness. Well, I don't know how odd it is, but it showed how weak my ex was. I came back from a night in a recording studio. I'm a professional musician, but it's not my full-time job. I had been recording all night and ended up crashing at my friend's house by the studio. It's what I did most of the time because of the long drive home. Anyway, I was sitting on the floor in front of her on the couch and looked up. I asked, why does it look like you're going to cry, and she said because I am, as she burst into tears. She never once said she was breaking up with me, simply nodded at my questions and such. I never got a reason for why our 3-year relationship was ending a week before our lease was up and we were moving somewhere else. Conveniently, this was a few months after she got her master's. I had worked while she went to school with the plan of her doing the same for me next. Yeah, that worked out. TLDR. I broke up with myself because my girlfriend didn't have the balls to say it herself. Broke up with me because I can't introduce you to my parents. They won't approve. I'm mixed. My reply was, wow, frick you and your parents. I then sobbed miserably all night, then had sex with my ex the next day. TLDR. Lost a girl due to half niggerness. Half niggerness. The politically correct term is mulatosis. The guy I was dating last year this time was a selfish dong who used me for his convenience and otherwise treated me like an annoyance. He made it a point to hang out with me last Valentine's Day, even though he showed up completely empty-handed. No photo slideshow by email, no card, no planned massage, nothing. I put it on IM anyway. If I recall correctly, FFW 1 year, he's living with another girl, and has come back trying to get into my life 3 or 4 times since we split. Each time I've said it hurts me when you do this, BC. Each time I have to learn all over again that you're doing with her what you would not do with me. His most recent reappearance was 4 days ago. He's still with her. I was fine with being single and fine with Valentine's Day. It just really sucks that this morning I have yet another message from him saying how he'll honor my wishes and not contact me while he's in a relationship. Truth be told, I could give a frick about his relationship. I just wish he would leave me alone and stop bringing to the surface all the pain and bitterness he instilled in that I've worked so hard to overcome. Thanks to the one person who may have read this. Late to the party, I know. Block him or change your information so you can get on with your life. You can always come back to old usernames when this stops bugging you. There's nothing he has to say to you worth listening to. I'm on the wrong side of a terrible breakup story. 6 years ago, I was dating a guy from my college dorm. He was a nice enough guy, but I knew it wasn't going anywhere for several reasons. He was highly emotional. I always felt like the man in our relationship. He never ever talked about his family. I honestly don't know anything about his family but that his parents were divorced. He was extremely judgmental about my food choices. He chose to not eat red meat, and when I had a slice of pepperoni pizza he told me that I smelled like death, and he refused to be around me until I had showered, brushed my teeth and washed the clothes I was wearing when I ate it. He had a very weird attachment to all of his comic books and video games. Don't get me wrong, I'm a nerd, but when I would win at Mario Kart, he would get so mad that he would throw the controller across the room. He screeched at me for opening his new comic book too far because I was bending the spine. He had over 30 boxes of comic books in their plastic covers, all with unbent spines. We had been hanging out, can't really call it dating, for about 7 months, and I knew his birthday was coming up in about 2 weeks. I was getting very tired of his instability emotionally. He cried when his cubivore learned how to drop a deuce, and I was really starting to feel bad for him. I knew that if I broke it off before his birthday, he would have a catastrophic meltdown. So I decided to wait until sometime after his birthday to let him know that this wasn't working out. Fast forward to 12:15 AM on his birthday. He had spent the evening with his friends watching movies and came up to my dorm room to talk. He told me that he had been watching a movie that had undertones of unhappy relationships, and he asked me point blank, Do you even want to be with me? I thought I at least told him the truth and told him that I didn't think that we worked well together. He cried. He then asked if it was still okay to go over to my parents' house for my sister's birthday bash. They shared a birthday. She was turning 8 that day. Unwilling to really crush him, I told him that he was still welcome. I had to drive him there and back, more than an hour in the car alone together. Most awkward day ever. I still feel bad. TLDR. I broke up with a guy on his birthday. This is already buried, but here's my story. High school, 10th grade. I dated a lovely young lady, nice girl. Found out she was a Jehovah's Witness. We dated for a couple months, and things were great. However, she kept trying to get me to go to church with her. I am a dedicated atheist, but naive me didn't see how it would hurt us. Besides, she had great tea. Anyhow, I was at her place one night, in rural Northern California. We walked through the woods to where I was staying the night, a buddy's place. Since he lived really close to her, we got in a fight, because she was really all over me to convert to Jehovah's Witness. I refused, and after a really heated fight, she went all quiet. I turned to keep moving. She didn't come with me, so I figured she headed home. Next thing I know, she screams out at me and stabs me in the left shoulder with a pocket knife. Holy frick. So I'm in shock. There's a knife sticking out of my back, and I'm bleeding fairly profusely. I reach back, pull the knife out, and hand it back to her, and continue on up to my buddy's place, where his mom administered first aid. Obviously, I didn't convert. So, at least you didn't stick yourself in crazy, but the crazy stuck something in you. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.